Mr. Squidward. Welcome to the night shift.
And hello once again, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the MI6 Sports Network's late night Owl talk show. That is the night shift, folks, here for our third episode here on this Sunday, September 20th, 2020, on a victory Sunday, hopefully, for your favorite sports team, whether it's baseball, basketball, or football, or even hockey. We are, folks, on here for the next hour or so, recapping the big plays, big games, and big moments and big stories of your Sports Sunday here today. Of course, folks, alongside the fellow late night owl co-host, Isaiah Leung from the Garage Studios up in the Bay Area. Callan McClurg joining you folks here from the home studio in San Diego. Isaiah, as always, man, we thank you for staying up late. And welcome to the night shift, buddy. How's it going?
It's going great, Callan. I hope you guys all had a tremendous Sunday. I did have a tremendous Sunday, but it was marred by a lot of dark moments. I'm a huge 49ers fan. Thank goodness my 49ers beat those New York Jets, the worst team in football, because if they hadn't beaten the New York Jets, I would have probably come on the show extremely grumpy and with a barf bag that I needed to, blow into like Sheldon Cooper from the show The Big Bang Theory. But you know what? It's all good. The 49ers win. But the problem is our top players, Nick Bosa, Jimmy Garoppolo, Solomon Thomas, had major injuries today and all left the game. But hey, man, on the bright side is that you guys all know me. I've been a huge fan of Nick Mullins for a long time. I've been clamoring for Nick Mullins to be the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. I even paid $80 2 years ago after Nick Mullins led the 49ers down the field for a comeback win over the Seattle Seahawks in Santa Clara. I paid for this Nick Mullins jersey, and it really looked to be like I made a stupid purchase. But hey, who knows? Nick Mullins has 3 games to prove that he's a starting quarterback worthy, and he's going to be the starter for my San Francisco 49ers going forward. And now I get to put this jersey to good use. So, Callan, all is great right now on this Sunday night.
So again, folks, let me reiterate what the format is of the night shift here. Again, this program comes on air every Tuesday, every Saturday, and Sunday evening at about 10 o'clock Pacific time to, again, we pretty much try, folks, our best to give you a brief rundown or a hour-long Cliff Notes version of your sports. Again, we know, folks, that a lot of people out there are back to work probably over the course of a Tuesday night or a Saturday night, a Sunday night, and probably are either not able to check their phone or get updates about games. So we try our best to come here when everything is over with and all said and done and catch you up on an hour or so of all the big games, big plays, big news of the day, and kind of get you ready for the next day of sports. So again, folks, we'll take your input, though. All things going on in the sports world, questions, comments, concerns, write them in, folks. We'll do our best to read those here live on the program. But Isaiah, we're going to start, though, man, not in pro football, but, sir, starting off tonight in professional Major League Baseball. And that was with the hometown San Diego Padres on the cusp of winning and making the postseason for the first time in 14 seasons. The last time, folks, by the way, I'll go ahead and roast myself on the network here. The last time, folks, the Padres were in the postseason in 2006. That was how I looked in 2006 at age 12 in 6th grade. And it's been a very long and torturous 14-year run for the Padres. But that, folks, was me in 6th grade when the last time the Padres were in the playoffs. Matter of fact, my dad and I were there when the Padres lost their most recent playoff game at home to the St. Louis Cardinals in 2006. But with that, though, folks, the Padres playing the Mariners. And again, folks, like we've said, though, very weird weekend for the Padres. Again, playing a series versus the arch rival Seattle Mariners, interleague style, but again, as the away team in their home ballpark due to, again, the very poor air qualities Isaiah and I have been talking about the past several days here on the network by virtue of the AQI due to the fires, of course, burning over the course of the past several days and weeks for that matter. But the Padres are able to go ahead, but lose the lead, but ultimately come back and win over the Seattle Mariners tonight from Petco Park as the away team, 7-4 in 11 innings to, again, clinch that first playoff berth since 2006. And folks, a couple big notes about this game. Mitch Moreland, 2 for 5, with 2 doubles, including the go-ahead double and the Padres' 11th that tacked on 3 runs to give the Padres the big lead. And also Will Myers put the Padres ahead with a 3-run homer back in the 6th. And the Padres clinched their first playoff berth since 2006. And they still have some room and still have some time to go. But Isaiah, I will say, man, very weird weekend for the Padres. Very rough week 2 playing games. Again, of course, the LA Dodgers come to town, take 2 out of 3 from the Padres. Fernando Tatis Jr. marred in a bit of a slump over the past several games. And over the weekend, he kind of broke out, though, with the Padres take the first game of the series, lose, though, on Saturday, but are able, though, to come back today and win this one. Now, again, it was a very, very weird game where both clubs were without a base hit until about the 5th inning when the Mariners finally went ahead 1-0. Then the Padres, like they have a lot this season, but go up 3-1. It looks good. Then in the 8th inning, though, the wheels come off with Emilio Pagan giving up a game-tying homer to, I believe Dylan Moore hit that game-tying homer. It goes into extra innings. And if my folks would have been home, Isaiah, they would have been telling me I would have been looking like a expecting father because I was pacing back and forth, taking laps around my living room couch because it was just that stressful. But also, when you haven't seen your team in the postseason for a long time, 10, 14 years, you kind of forget how that playoff atmosphere feels like when your team has been, not very good or irrelevant for the past several years. And that's what it felt like at home today, watching this game and pacing back and forth and hanging on with every pitch. That is what has been missing here in San Diego for almost 15 seasons. And again, though, Isaiah, the Padres, go up, they fall behind, they come back again, and then extra innings, man, it's all up for grabs with the runner on second base. It's just like, oh no, you don't score a run here, it might be over. But the Padres go up, though, in the 11th. And again, though, man, Mitch Moreland coming up big in this game. The pitching looked great, again, with the exception of maybe Pagan's inning. The Padres struck out 18 Seattle batters in this game today. So, Isaiah, a lot, man, in this very loony game with the Padres playing Seattle. But above all, man, the Padres are going to the playoffs for the first time since I was in 6th grade. Any thoughts about this game, man? Very, of course, weird weekend, but ultimately another one of the little guys in baseball is now going to the playoffs for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, my thoughts on it is I just want to congratulate you, Callan, and all the long-suffering Friar faithful who have suffered for a long, long time. You guys finally make it to the postseason. You guys have a great team that is a great lineup, great pitching staff, great bullpen, a team that is just so gritty. You guys, your team, whenever you guys are down, I don't sense any panic from the San Diego Padres. They always feel like that, no matter the situation, no matter how many runs they are down, no matter what inning is it, that they are going to come back. And that's what I love about this team. It's the resiliency of this team. It's the fact that they keep on fighting no matter what happens. A lot of credit got to go to Jace Tingler for instilling that mindset into this ball club, as well as, these veterans like Eric Hosmer, who's had a great bounce back season, Manny Machado, who signed that massive 10-year deal with the Padres and didn't really do good last year in San Diego, but has bounced back big time. A lot of these veterans have bounced back. A lot of these young kids have taken the next step forward, and that has what has led the San Diego Padres to take that next step and make the playoff finally for the first time since 2006.
Isaiah, I've been listening to a lot of the local radio here, 97.3, 1360 over the past several hours. And, I think John Schaefer brought up an excellent point on Extra 1360 today, Fox Sports San Diego, is that I know a lot of people are going to be writing in and commenting and tweeting and all this about, well, it's only 60 games. But Mark Grant, though, the longtime Padres color announcer on television, said it best, though. Every team is in this boat. It's not just like the Padres played 60 games and the Dodgers played a full season. Everyone's in the same predicament. Everyone's playing 60 games, battling adversity, battling hurdles with COVID or with games being canceled or a lot of, changes on the fly this season. And yes, I know that people are going to tell me, well, it's only 60 games or, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, though, Isaiah, that doesn't mean anything. Everyone is in the same predicament in my mind for 60 games in this year in regards to, again, the pandemic and stuff like that. And, Isaiah, I know a lot of people probably had questions about the Padres because, it's a rookie manager, a couple of proven superstars in Machado and Hosmer, a very high volume, entertaining player in Fernando Tatis Jr. And of course, Will Myers, who I think is probably the guy I feel the most happiest for because he's been with this ball club since that very first, star-studded team with him and Upton, Matt Kemp, Derek Norris, Will Middlebrooks 5 years ago. And Will's been, on the All-Star team. Then he's had a very big decrease in production, trade talks, maybe people getting in his head. But then, man, he comes back this year. And again, I know it's a very small sample size of a 60-game season, but honestly, has looked like a by far most improved player is on this ball club in Will Myers. The rookie of the year is on this ball club in the National League in Jake Cronenworth, and 2 bona fide MVPs in both Machado and Tatis Jr., and also a legitimate Cy Young candidate in Dinelson Lamet. So Isaiah, as you look at at the Padres as a whole, man, they don't have a lot of holes. And for a long time, man, this franchise has been sadly been notorious for holes in the holes in the rotation, holes in the bullpen. Now, yes, there's been a few of those this season, but Isaiah, they've been mainly, in my mind, potholes. You go over potholes on a freeway or on the road where you live, and stuff like that happens. And not everyone, and no one's going to go 60-0, 162-0, and stuff happens. But Isaiah, this Padre team is probably, I'm not going to say right now that they're the best club in franchise history. I still think that goes to the 98 squad, but they could be on that very similar conversation in my mind as more time goes on and maybe into next season. Because again, a lot of people have said, this is the decade for the Padres to get going. So Isaiah, overall thoughts on the Padres as a whole collective unit, especially now, man, with how good this ball club had gotten post the trade deadline last month.
Yeah, this Padres team, like I mentioned earlier, the thing I like about them is that they're just a complete team. They've got great pitching in the rotation with Mike Clevenger. They also have Dinelson Lamet, and also they have a fantastic lineup, which is led by guys like Fernando Tatis, Eric Hosmer, Manny Machado, Will Myers, who has come back and bounced back big time after a really rough couple of years, and also Eric Hosmer as well, and Jake Cronenworth too. And then the bullpen, I thought coming into this season, the biggest strength of the San Diego Padres were going to be that bullpen. I thought they were going to, just get their starters to go 5 innings and then just rely heavily on the bullpen. But the starters have actually picked up the slack. The bullpen has been great. There's been a few potholes, but other than that, the bullpen has been great. You talk about Trevor Rosenthal. What an amazing addition that has been to the back end of the bullpen after Kirby Yates went down. The Padres needed someone to fill that void in the 9th inning. Trevor Rosenthal comes in. He's been great for the Padres. And then you look at Drew Pomeranz, who they brought in. Drew Pomeranz was with the San Diego Padres before as a starting pitcher, but he got traded to not Oakland, but Boston, I believe. He struggled as a starting pitcher, went to the Giants, revitalized his career as a reliever. He's been lights out for the San Diego Padres. And then you move down to Emilio Pagan, who the Padres got in a surprising trade from the Tampa Bay Rays. This guy was the closer for the Tampa Bay Rays last year, and many people didn't really expect him to get traded. He gets traded. He's part of that trio in the back end of that San Diego Padres bullpen. And then the Padres, they have great leadership in the dugout with Jace Tingler, who coming into this season, he was my biggest question mark, because when he was first hired, I was like, AJ Preller, what are you doing hiring a rookie manager, a guy that hasn't even been a bench coach, to be your manager? And I get he has a great relationship with you, but you're on the hot seat, man. You need the Padres to make the playoffs this year, or else you're going to be fired. So you should have went with a Ron Washington, an experienced manager, but he chose Jace Tingler, and he has proven me and a lot of the critics wrong, and he's done a fabulous job with this ball club, instilling the mindset of just never ever quit and just keep fighting, which is very, very impressive. And I just honestly think you got to give AJ Preller credit. This guy has been hated on by a lot of people. He made some bad moves, but he's restocked the farm system after he made a lot of those trades that landed Derek Norris, Matt Kemp, and Will Middlebrooks and those guys. and the farm system was bare. He restocked that system, and he kept that system intact for when they needed to make trades to help this team on the big league level that needed help. And he did that this year. And, a lot of credit goes to him for going out there, making bold moves, like landing a Mike Clevenger, who was toxic in the Cleveland Indians locker room, and he brought him here. And Mike Clevenger's been really good. Trevor Rosenthal, like I mentioned earlier, he's been really good, and he's really helped the Padres in that back end of the bullpen. So lots of credit goes all around to the San Diego Padres.
Isaiah, I wanted to make one more point before we, in fact, move on with our coverage again, folks. The Padres beat the Mariners in 11 innings in a very tense and very strenuous ball game for Padre fans. 7-4 San Diego over Seattle in 11 to clinch their first playoff berth in 14 seasons with that victory today over the rival Mariners. But Isaiah, man, I know this is a very tough year for all of us as sports fans and human beings for that matter. But of course, the one argument that's always been brought up, man, has been the fact that there's no fans. But Isaiah, even with there being no fans at Petco Park, the Padres, though, have heard fans, though, from outside the ballpark. I think you've probably seen videos or clips or photos, but Padre fans that live in the apartments by Petco have been heard out there with their flags, watching the games from their balcony. People have gone up to the top of a nearby hotel to one of the bars outdoors to watch the games from above, high above left field in downtown on 6th and K Street. Two of my great friends, or at least one of my great friends, Steve, who's in charge of our soccer supporter group for the San Diego Loyal, they've been using their megaphones from the top of one of the high-rise buildings in downtown to, kind of cheer with a megaphone from far away at Petco. But Isaiah, though, the coolest scene and thing I've seen tonight was video of Padre fans outside the Padre player garage at Petco as the players were leaving the ballpark after the game today. And Will Myers came out on one of the lift scooters, kind of went by and waved to everybody before he, in fact, went back in to celebrate. Fernando Tatis Jr. Got out of his car and kind of, in a way, kind of social distance, but still took a selfie video with all the fans that were lined up along the barricade. Eric Hosmer drove by and also snapped a video of the Padre faithful down at Petco Park. But Isaiah, I know that you and I are probably in the same boat, because that it's kind of been like for a while there for the A's and the Padres, a long time coming. And I will say, man, that the thing I've kind of felt the most about this season, and I think for Tatis Jr. hit the nail on the head post-game today, was it's a great feeling for the entire city, because, the Padres, as we know, have not been very good the past 14 years. The Chargers leaving, a lot of other issues in sports. And I'm sure, man, that probably that Oakland, in your case, kind of feels the same way with the A's not being good, the Raiders leaving, the Warriors leaving, and that there's not a lot of civic pride when your hometown teams are not playing well, or they're going through, ups and downs and peaks and valleys. Isaiah, I think that you can probably say this better than me, because with the Niners and the A's, but what really, though, could a season like this, though, do to, maybe longtime sports fans in that certain market when they finally see their hometown teams producing and playing well, and above all, then going to the playoffs and maybe even deeper?
Well, you're right, Callan. It gives the city a lot of pride, because let's not forget, these teams represent the cities. Whenever they're good, you see like tons of people wearing a lot of their gear, a lot of their hats, jerseys, stuff like that, and just being in a very, very joyous mood. I remember, I think it was last year, the 49ers have not been good for a very, very long time prior to last year. And last year, when they were like 8-0, you started seeing people wearing 49ers jerseys, 49ers caps, 49ers t-shirts, everything 49ers. Like wherever you went, you just saw that. So it gives the city a lot of pride. Cities normally rally around those teams, because sports is an escape from the normal world that we live in. So I just think that the Padres making it's great for the city of San Diego, who has lost a lot of sports teams, like the San Diego Chargers leaving for LA, and also a bunch of more as well.
With that one, I'll get to the comments, folks. We apologize for leaving you on hold there, but let's first get to the comments first from fellow photographer, great friend of the program, David Frecker with the Ric Flair woo. Also, my man David Anton with Slam Diego. Yes, the shirt came in yesterday, David, so that's why I'm wearing it today. And also, as well, Christy agrees it is a victory Sunday for me, even though the Cowboys almost gave her a heart attack. They will have more about the NFL, folks, in just a moment. Also, David says, woo, still crying, LOL. David, don't worry, bud. I have been trying to console two of my friends for the past several hours, and one of them even said that they've cried 3 separate times today. So don't feel bad, buddy. We all are definitely there. My man, Mark Stanley. Not much has changed in regards to that photo I shared of me from 6th grade. This, folks, was the last time the Padres were in the playoffs in 2006. Now, that was me in middle school right there, folks, in 2006. What's up, buddy?
Callan, I just wanted to add one thing about that picture. If you remember what that shirt was, or not that shirt, but what you were wearing the day you went to the game, I suggest you not wear that when you watch the Padres in the playoffs.
Well, for one, the jersey I wore doesn't fit anymore, so it wouldn't matter. But it was my dark blue Mark Loretta Padre jersey with the sand lettering, and it's too small anyway. So I'm going to avoid that. Plus, we have a new color scheme, so why would I wear blue? We got brown and gold back. Finally, after all these years. But yes, Mark, nothing has really changed. David says, I was a sophomore in high school. The Padres last were in the postseason. And also, Mr. Casey King. How about the LA Rams? 2-0 start, nice win in Philly. Good all-around game on both sides of the ball. Definitely agree. I think, Jared Goff, we'll have more about the NFL, folks, as mentioned, in just a moment. And also, Casey says, congrats to the Pods, hoping for a Padres-Dodgers NLDS series. I think a lot of people would be very intrigued in regards to seeing the two best teams in the NL go head-to-head record-wise in a 5-game series. David agrees, only 60 games, LOL. Here we go with that mess. That's in a joking manner, by the way. Our buddy, fellow MI6 member, and our graphic designer and Webster and tech guru, Martin. Go Raiders, go. Opening up that brand new stadium. I don't care. I'm calling it the Roomba. It looks like a giant Roomba vacuum cleaner in Paradise, Nevada. And David also says, one unpopular opinion. I actually hope the Pods lose in the NLCS because I don't want to risk seeing my boys at the World Series and could not be physically there to see them. To me, it's not close to the same. I honestly agree with that because it does kind of suck to not be able to be at the ballpark. And also, good friend of the program as well, Jamie Lynch. Great job, Cal. A big future. Thank you very much. And also, James Gonzalez, also up late. Good to catch the show again. Congrats on the Padres. Thank you very much. And that's why it is a victory Sunday with the jersey and the Slam Diego shirt in full effect here tonight. Isaiah wanted to add one more point for you. In fact, switch gears to the NFL. Isaiah, what do you got for us?
I do agree with that point of, like if the Padres were to win the World Series, it's not really the same. I kind of liken it to the reason why I don't really want to see Lakers Celtics in the NBA Finals, though it would be a really good matchup. It's just Lakers Celtics in the Orlando bubble is really not the same as Lakers Celtics in Staples Center and TD Garden. You need Staples Center and TD Garden to be involved to have a true Lakers Celtics rivalry in the NBA Finals. It's just not the same in Orlando. Like, I want to see that court in Boston, that disgusting court in Boston when the Lakers would go there. So I like, for selfish reasons, I'm hoping Lakers and Heat, but hey, if we get Lakers Celtics, why not? So then we can show Boston or like shove it into their faces when we win our number 17 championship and tie them for the most championships in NBA history.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. I mean, it's one thing, of course, the parquet floor in Boston, Staples Center, the Forum, you name it, it's not the same. But I think a lot of people probably agree, David, in regards to you want to see your teams win, but if you're not able to be there, it's a very bitter taste, I'd say. So I definitely agree with the comments. And again, folks, keep those rolling in. We'll do our best to read those throughout the course of our program here today and whatnot as well. With that in mind, Isaiah, let's now go, man, over to week 2 of the NFL season. But first, man, let's actually fulfill Casey's obligation here again about his LA Rams, man. 2-0 start. And again, man, 2 really good games on offense by the Rams. And again, I know a lot of people had some questions maybe about them filling that Todd Gurley role with Todd being gone in Atlanta. But my goodness, man, I mean, Jared Goff, I think, finding I believe it was Higbee today for 3 touchdowns in this game, and they really just totally owned the whole game over Philadelphia today. So Isaiah, to kind of fulfill Casey's obligation, how about your thoughts on the Rams torching the Eagles and Philly earlier today?
Well, my first thought of it was when I first saw Higbee go for 3 touchdowns, I was like, oh my God, man. It's great for the Rams, but my guy Callan ain't going to be in a good mood for the show tonight because he's playing a guy in fantasy football who has Tyler Higbee as his starting tight end. And sure enough, Tyler Higbee went for 40 points, Callan. I'm not really sure about the total, the exact points, but he went off for a lot of points, and Callan over here lost by over 30 or something like that. So,
already over.
It was a really good, bad performance for fantasy, but it was good for the Rams because, hey, let me tell you guys something. A lot of people were doubting the Rams coming into the season, saying that the Rams were going to be in last place. The Rams, they are their championship window has closed. McVay's going to be fired. But I think the Rams heard a lot of that outside noise, and they've really pushed and made everybody wrong the first 2 games of the season. They came in facing a really good Dallas Cowboys team, and they upset them in the first game. And now they play the Philadelphia Eagles, and they put up 37 points on offense. And I think it just goes to show you that the reason why the Rams had problems last year was because, first of all, Todd Gurley and his knees, he just couldn't run the football. And secondly, Brandon Cooks was injured. So I think the Rams, it's a blessing in disguise that those 2 players are no longer with the ball club.
Just to clarify real quick on Isaiah's fantasy breakdown, Higbee had 28.40 points against me today, so it's all but over. I'm going to lose 142.38 to 111.95 to Ryan Schreiner, so I'll be 0-2 to start the fantasy football campaign. But Isaiah, I agree, though, because I know a lot of people had questions about Todd Gurley being gone. And, I think, though, more so, I think about John Mappis's quote that he had a couple weeks ago about the Rams is he pretty much called Todd Gurley Jared Goff's security blanket. And I would definitely agree with that. But, man, it looks like there's been a really good job, though, done by the Rams to have options. Again, Cooks with him being hurt. But, again, though, Robert Woods getting that 4-year extension. Then also, again, Higbee, 3 touchdowns today against the Eagles. And real quick, David is back about the Padres. He said, Callan, I made myself a lifelong promise to see my Padres /win a World Series, physically being there. If they make it that far, I lose that promise to myself and can't enjoy it 100% as if I was there. I know it may pretty, but it means so much to me to be there. But I already made my reservations in Arlington for the week of the World Series. If Major League Baseball does allow fans to be in attendance, rumor going around. I have, in fact, heard that rumor, so we'll see how things, in fact, check out with that in mind. Isaiah, with that, we'll now go, man, over to the 3 games we're going to talk about today. That, of course, begins with your Niners taking on the New York Jets today. 31-13, San Francisco cold clocking the Jets. Probably, I think, putting Adam Gase further on the hot seat. But, of course, Isaiah, it is more about the injury woes suffered today by the Niners. And, again, man, sadly, 3 big injuries to 3 key cogs of the Niners on offense and on defense. Isaiah, your thoughts, and also can you catch us up on the injuries suffered by the Niners in this game today over the New York Jets?
Yeah, so there were a lot of injuries in this game. It was a great win for the 49ers. They did what they needed to do. They took care of business against a very weak team in the New York Jets. 31-13 over the New York Jets. But before I get into the injuries, I just want to make one point, and that is Adam Gase should be fired for what he did with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. You are down 24-3 in this ball game, and I think you're at the 49ers 24-yard line, and I think it's 4th and 3 or 4th and 4, something like that. It's he decides to kick a field goal instead of going for it. That in of itself should be a fireable offense. Because what are you doing kicking a field goal when you're down 18? You kick a field goal to make it from 21. You kick a field goal to make it an 18-point game. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It just shows me right there that Adam Gase is an extremely scared coach who is not going to win anything in his tenure as a head coach. But getting back to the injuries, the 49ers, they won this game, but it came at a really big cost. And the cost was Jimmy Garoppolo. First quarter suffers a high ankle sprain on a very, very late hit. I mean, if we had that video, I would really show you guys it, and you guys would be as disgusted as I am. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's knee was already down, and the Jets defender, one of his knees was already down. So he was like, the play should be dead. But one of the Jets defenders decided to hit Jimmy Garoppolo on the other leg when his knee was already down, and the refs, they didn't call it for a late hit, which I thought was utterly ridiculous. It's so stupid. It should have been called, because that hit right there injured Jimmy Garoppolo. He was seen with a noticeable limp throughout that entire first half. He actually managed to suck it up, despite after throwing the ball, after every throw, he would just limp to where the Niners had the ball next. Really, really good performance by Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a hell of a guy, man. I mean, to suck it up and to finish the first half was really admirable for him. But Jimmy Garoppolo, high ankle sprain. Kyle Shanahan said that that injury will be a week-to-week thing. He said that Jimmy Garoppolo could be available for next week's game against the New York Giants, but I highly doubt it, because he said that Jimmy Garoppolo will feel that injury even worse when he gets on that plane tomorrow to fly to where the 49ers are staying in West Virginia. So I really don't think he will be playing next week. And why would you want to re-injure that ankle again and possibly be knocked out for the year if you get hurt in a game against the New York Giants, who are one of the worst teams in the NFL as well? So Garoppolo probably out 3 to 4 weeks. The other injuries were on the defensive side of the ball. Nick Bosa, the 49ers superstar pass rusher, he suffered a torn ACL. What happened was his knee buckled and he got turned around. So he basically was on the like his body was twisted on the right side and his knee was on the left side. It was a really ugly injury. Shanahan said it was a torn ACL. They're going to confirm it tomorrow. Most likely done for the year. Brutal blow for the San Francisco 49ers and their defense. And then Solomon Thomas, the guy that was supposed to replace DeForest Buckner in that middle of that defensive line. He kind of had that same thing as Bosa. Body twisted, knee on one side, body on the other. He's out for the year, most likely with a torn ACL. They're going to confirm it tomorrow. Another brutal blow. And then they had Raheem Mostert, who suffered a mild MCL sprain. Shanahan said that he most likely won't play next week, probably will play the week after that when the 49ers host the Eagles on Sunday Night Football in the first week of October. But you add those injuries to George Kittle, who didn't play today with a knee sprain. Deebo Samuel, Jones fracture, hasn't played at all this whole season. And also the 49ers have Richard Sherman. He has a hip injury. He's on the IR, probably going to miss 3 weeks. The 49ers just have a ton of mounting injuries. I don't know what they're going to do. All I know is that Nick Mullins is going to start next week. And I'm telling you guys right now, the 49ers fan base has a bunch of people that have been clamoring for months, or not even months, years, for Nick Mullins to be the 49ers starter, and me being one of them. And Nick Mullins, I honestly could see him going 3-0 in the next 3 games the 49ers play, because if you look at their schedule, they play at the New York Giants, weak team, they should win that game. And then they play the Philadelphia Eagles at home, another terrible team so far this NFL season. The Eagles have looked super garbage. That's on Sunday Night Football. And then they play against the Miami Dolphins at home, another team that isn't really a good team. So it's 3 winnable games. But for Nick Mullins, this is his time to shine. If he wants to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, he's got these 3 games to prove it. Because if he can go 2-1 or 3-0 and put up really good stats, I'm telling you guys right now, I do not see Jimmy Garoppolo being the 49ers starter. This could be a Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe situation all over again.
And it wouldn't be the first time, Isaiah, we've seen the Niners had this similar situation again as early as about 4 or 5 years ago as well. With that, again, folks, the Niners win again 31-13, but again at the very steep price, though, of again losing their starting quarterback and 2 key cogs on defense. And real quick, folks, we have that question again. Who do you believe is the first NFL coach to be fired this season? Please let us know again. Is it Adam Gase, Matt Patricia, Dan Quinn? The next thing we'll talk about with the Atlanta Falcons here in a moment. But James Gonzalez writes in to say real quick, he thinks the NFC West might be the best division in the NFL so far by virtue of the Rams being 2-0. The Cardinals are 2-0 at this time. And also, James does say, though, Isaiah, to a point that he made off air tonight, one Niner player did tweet, the turf at MetLife Stadium was really bad today. So, Isaiah, we'll let you add on to that point, though, about the turf perhaps being maybe one reason, not an excuse, but maybe a reason behind the injury woes for the Niners today.
Oh, yeah, it was super bad. I mean, those injuries that I just listed, those were like the guys that are either out for the year or out for a long time. There were guys that were dropping left and right. I mean, literally every play of the game, you had a guy just go down for the San Francisco 49ers. It was utterly ridiculous. Guys, they just struggled on that turf. I think Fred Warner, the 49ers linebacker, he said something like that the turf was just too moist and too sticky, like they would plant their foot, and then they had a hard time getting their foot out, which I believe led to Bosa's injury because he planted his foot, but then I think he couldn't get it out, so his body was turned, and he couldn't get the foot out, and then he ended up tearing his ACL, which is very unfortunate. But that's why I wouldn't play Jimmy Garoppolo next week, or even George Kittle or Deebo Samuel or any of the key cogs for the 49ers on offense or defense because of that same turf. Because you're not going to be able to rip that turf out and implement new turf in a 1 week span. So you're going to have to play on that same new turf next week. So let's say you play Jimmy. Let's say Jimmy Garoppolo he's like, what, 70% healthy and ready to go, even though I highly doubt he will be. But let's say he's 70%. Are you really willing to risk him re-injuring that ankle and, suffering a hit and knocking him out for the entire year? That's why I wouldn't play Jimmy Garoppolo or any of those key guys.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And there's no turnaround either, especially I think it's also the problems that the Giants and Jets and now the Rams and Chargers will face because they both share the same exact stadium. And Casey King agrees with James. The NFC West, I think, is the best division in the West. And yes, I know it's early, but he could see three teams getting out of the NFC West this season. I would think it'd be the Cardinals, the Rams, and probably the Niners as well. But again, the Niners win, folks, with a lot of injury problems, though. But again,
Nick Mullins, though, Callan? You really trust Nick Mullins, though?
With those three games you listed, I think I'd give him a puncher's chance. With those three games, I would. With that, Isaiah, we'll move on now to the next game of note today, and that is involving the Atlanta Falcons, who once again, man, find a way to squander a 20-point lead. The Falcon, they lose 40-39 on a game-winning field goal by Greg the Leg Zuerlein. All this, Isaiah, coming after the Falcons literally watch a onside kick travel the 10 yards maximum, and it's recovered with ease by the Cowboys. They drive down the field, and Greg the Leg knocks it through to give the Cowboys an improbable comeback victory over the Falcons. And Christy agrees with me. The first coach he thinks will be fired is Dan Quinn of the Atlanta Falcons because, Isaiah, this is the second time in about a 2 or 3 or 4 year span that the Falcons have had a 20-plus lead and just totally blowing it. And Christy, as a Cowboys fan, agrees. I thought I was going to pass out during the entire game. That was me watching my Padres clinch the playoff berth today over Seattle. But Isaiah, I don't know, man, where to start, other than the fact that the Falcons once again, man, looked great for a moment there, and then they still find a way to get the wings clipped and fall flat on their face. Isaiah, so much to unpack, but man, I want to really, though, man, talk more about the turning point of this game being that onside kick. How in the world can you have the hands team out there and they literally stand around the football? I know we're supposed to social distance from each other, but don't social distance away from the football. I mean, that was probably the worst blunder I've seen in a long time in the NFL. I mean, there's been probably a few notable blunders of all time. Obviously, the Sanchez butt fumble is number one, but Isaiah, that has got to be right up there, man. I mean, how in the world does Atlanta not do that, Isaiah? Does this game boil down more to the Cowboys coming back and winning, or more about Atlanta's incompetence to protect a major big lead in this ball game?
it boils down to Atlanta's incompetence. That's what happened. And it's Dan Quinn's incompetence. My guy, Kyle Shanahan, is, I think, with this game, has been let off the hook for what happened in the Super Bowl. Nobody can ever blame Kyle Shanahan again for not running the football. It's that defense, man. Dan Quinn, you are a defensive genius. That's why you were hired as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. You were supposed to make their defense great. And not only do you get a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl and you blow all that away because your defense can't get a damn stop in the third quarter, but today you were up 20-0 in that game and you blow it. And also you were up 39-30 with, I believe it was like 30 or 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and you blow it. How can you be a defensive genius and blow it like that? It's unreal, man. Like, that's Dan Quinn should get his defensive credentials stripped. He can never, ever, ever again say that he is a defensive genius, because he is not a defensive genius. And I don't care what he did in Seattle. He was hired to fix that defense in Atlanta. He was hired as like a defensive mastermind. All that has gone down the drain. But in terms of that onside kick, I mean, I agree with you, Callan. That's probably the worst onside kick recovery effort I've ever seen in my life. Well, like, what are you guys doing just standing there? Like, I was confused when I first watched it. I was like, are these guys, did these guys think, like, were these guys watching because they were trying to make sure it crossed 10 yards and then try to pick it up? But even if, when it does cross 10 yards, you quickly just jump on it. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just lost of words for what happened. I don't understand why they were just watching instead of, once it reached 10 yards and then just jump on it. They were just watching this. It was just really ridiculous.
That gift, folks, was probably Falcons fans everywhere after this game again. Like, for the second time in a very brief stretch, they have to sit through a blown 20-point lead, and they just want to bang their head on a cash register like Squidward did right there. A couple comments real quick, Isaiah, coming in here. Back to Casey, he says, if I had to pick a coach who gets fired first, I'm going with Adam Gase as well, but also would not be surprised if Falcons coach Dan Quinn is also getting the boot, especially after blowing today's game. Christy Wilson, the Falcons look scared to grab the onside kick. And again, Isaiah, a lot of people actually, man, compared the same exact play to the Cam Newton fumble in Super Bowl 50, where Cam just stood there and watched the ball go downfield and was recovered by Denver. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, Cam just watched that ball instead of trying to dive in there and try to get the football. I mean, the Falcons, they look like guys that were afraid of getting hit. I mean, they didn't want any part of any contact. That's what I saw on that play. Like, they were just frozen there, which I really don't understand.
Yeah, I would love to hear an explanation, like on Monday, about what happened. Was it a breakdown with the special teams coach? Was it they had the wrong personnel on the field, or what really happened? I'd love to hear an answer from Falcons fans out there about what that logic was. Isaiah, you can go ahead and make your point. What is it?
Yeah, before we move off the NFL games, I just wanted to answer or respond to Christy about the coach that will get fired first. For me, I'm going to give you guys a really surprising one. I don't think it's Adam Gase. Even though I think he should be fired after what happened against Buffalo and also today, because you made Nick Mullins look like an MVP candidate. I mean, the guy outplayed Sam Darnold when he came in the second half. He went 8 for 11 for 71 yards. Looked really good out there. But for me, it's got to be Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia from Detroit, because he was already on the hot seat coming into the season. Detroit, like they said this season or last season, that if he didn't make the playoffs this year, him and the general manager, Bob Quinn, were going to get fired. And if you look at their next 3 games, they have a very, very tough schedule. I believe they played the Packers today. Callan, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they play the Saints in one of their games, and I think they play the Indianapolis Colts. I might be wrong on that.
We'll have to double check the schedule, but at the way that they're going, I would throw Patricia's name in the ring, though, to be fired as well. So I think that Chrissy's onto a great point. Also, real quick, Christy, also CeeDee Lamb impressed me during the game, especially the last catch that he had. James Gonzalez, sorry to say, but the Falcons are like the Clippers, but not as bad as the Clippers. Christy also says at least Michael Gallup's catch was called a catch. And James agree with Gaze being fired first. Jets should tank for Trevor Lawrence. Definitely agree with that. And there could be a plethora of teams in the running for the sweepstakes for the Clemson quarterback. With that in mind, Isaiah, one more game to get to, Bud. That was the SNF game on NBC. Primetime Pats visit the Seahawks in a 35-30 Seattle victory. But Isaiah, this is more so, man, about the very questionable play calling down the stretch in this ball game where the Seahawks, both teams making some big-time blunders late in this game, but the Seahawks win the game 35-30. And honestly, probably one of the better games on the schedule with this great performance by both Cam Newton and Russell Wilson. Isaiah, overall thoughts on the game before we dive more into it, but give us a general breakdown or your general thoughts on how this game went between the Pats and Seahawks tonight.
My biggest issue with this game is what happened at the end. It was a really great back and forth battle by these two great teams, two great head coaches, and Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick, two really good quarterbacks in Cam Newton and Russell Wilson. It just came down to two plays. 3rd and 1. The Seattle Seahawks have the football up 35-30 with 1:49 left in this ball game. 3rd and 1, and instead of running the football, they throw it deep. Like, what are you doing? You haven't learned from your Super Bowl mistake from 3 years ago? Like, are you serious? You don't. You just run the ball right up the middle, a power run, and you get the first down. The ball game is over. But no, they decide to throw it deep, incomplete pass, which gives the Patriots the ball back, and New England nearly wins the game when Cam Newton drives them down the football field. They get to the 1-yard line, and on the final play, what the heck are you calling, Josh McDaniels? You call everybody knew that it was going to Cam Newton because all your weapons suck on the outside. So we all knew that it was going to be a design run for Cam Newton, and you snap it to Newton. Newton runs it straight to the left, and he gets gang tackled by a bunch of Seahawks. Like, that's the most predictable play ever. Even a 5-year-old could have predicted that play. So I just don't get the play calling in the end. It really marred what was a really great battle. It was a great game, but the last two plays really makes me really befuddled.
So, Isaiah, to respond to the question we have on screen again, whose play calling do you question more, Belichick or Carroll? Man, this was like deja vu, honestly, from the Super Bowl many years ago with Seattle playing New England. It's like, okay, it's going to happen again here. But then when it happens a second time, this time to the Patriots, it's like, what on earth is, what is so wrong with these coaches when it's Seattle playing New England and the game is late and it's a 5-point game or very close, Isaiah? So with that, Isaiah, to you, what do you think? Whose play calling do you question more? Bill Belichick's play calling late in the game or Pete Carroll's late in the game for Seattle?
Ooh, this is a very tough question, but I'm going to lean with the Seattle Seahawks because, you're up 5 points. You have the game in the bag, and you give the Patriots, a team with Bill Belichick as their head coach, who is a genius, you give them one last shot by taking a deep shot instead of running it right up the gut. And even if you don't get yards, you can still punt it. You'll take 40 seconds off the clock, but you threw it, incomplete pass. You take no time off the clock, and you give the Patriots a full 140 left to drive all the way down to the field and nearly win the game. I think that was the most BS decision or play call I've ever seen in my life. The Seattle Seahawks are so damn lucky that they didn't lose this game because that decision itself, the Seahawks should have lost this ball game.
So, Isaiah, real quick, we have our man, Shareable Steve, writing in. Question Carroll's more because the quarterback run had been working for the Patriots all game. Not a shocker they ran Cam again. I also go with Seattle because, Isaiah, you would have thought that they would have learned from their mistakes from Super Bowl 49, right? Apparently not.
Yeah, apparently not, man. I don't know. I was talking to my man Gabe Jackson on the phone when that happened, and we were just like, are you serious, Pete Carroll? Like, have you not learned your lesson? Run the ball. I guess the Seahawks just maybe they have a rule in their headquarters. They just don't want to run the football on 3rd and 1 with the game on the line. I mean, I just guess like that's why the Seahawks just never run the football. I mean, that's like the only explanation I have to, even try to remotely explain this play call. It just doesn't make sense at all.
Not sure if Gabe is watching, but Gabe, one of our off-the-wall correspondents for the Six. If you're tuning in, Gabe, of course, shout out, Gabe. With that, Christy also agrees. I say I question Pete Carroll's play calling. And definitely a coach like Pete Carroll would probably, I think, learn better from mistakes already made in the past as opposed to that. But again, folks, the Pats and Seahawks great game, but the Seahawks win 35-30 to wrap up the victory over New England from CenturyLink Field in Seattle earlier or just a few hours ago here on this Sunday. Finally, Isaiah, our last game to get to, Game 2, Western Conference Finals NBA basketball. It is the Los Angeles Lakers with another buzzer-beating victory after blowing incrementally a huge lead. But Anthony Davis, with 2.1 seconds left, buries a game-winning 3 to lift the Lakers to a 2-0 lead over Denver in another hard-fought battle by the Lakers and Nuggets. The Lakers win 105-103. Again, Anthony Davis, the game-winning 3 as time ran out to win the ball game. And Isaiah, I know, man, the Lakers seem to always make it stressful as the game goes on. I know that we had a MI6 viewing party, but I was too busy celebrating my Padres winning the division, not the division title, but winning playoff berth for the first time in 14 years. But I was flipping back and forth, and I flipped back over on TNT right at the last minute and watched that last minute. I'm thinking, Jokic throws that one in. He tips that one ball in for one thing. Like, how in the world does he does that? Then he has a great hook shot over Anthony Davis, and the Lakers are down 1. And I'm just like, they're really going to pull the Clippers now, kind of in a way, like they're going to blow a big lead, like they kind of have though over the course of the postseason. We're just kind of in a way play a little bit too relaxed. 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, and then of course Anthony Davis. Now I will say though, the possession before was an absolute train wreck. With 24 seconds left, they inbound the ball. LeBron passes up for Caruso, wide open, and I don't mind LeBron being passive, but not in crunch time, not in a close game. And Caruso leaves the ball short off the front rim. Danny Green fortunately gets the rebound, and the shot is stuffed out of bounds by Jamal Murray. It leads up to the Davis 3, and it was a great inbound pass that got through Jokic, got to Anthony Davis, and Davis caught it, got behind the line, fired up the 3 to give the Lakers the victory. But Isaiah, that possession before the buzzer beater could have been could have made us a tied series at 1-1. So Isaiah, overall thoughts, and also, are the Lakers at certain points in games up when they're up big, do they get a little bit too relaxed for your liking?
Listen, my first reaction is Anthony Davis is officially a Los Angeles Laker. This guy is engraved in Lakers loyal forever. I don't care if, we win a championship and he leaves for the Chicago Bulls. This guy is part of the purple and gold forever with his big time shot. I mean, my God, buzzer beater and yelling Kobe at the same time. The Mamba would be proud right now just seeing what Anthony Davis did. But this guy has been tremendous the first 2 games of the series. He's been the best player on the court. He's been getting to the paint, being aggressive, like, we said that he needed to be, getting the Nuggets in foul trouble, getting rebounds, making clutch shots after clutch shots. He's been doing it all. So kudos to you, Anthony Davis. But as far as your question, Callan, is concerned about the Lakers playing too relaxed, yeah, they do. That's my biggest problem with the Lakers, is that they just play too relaxed. I thought coming into this series that they were just going to be like, oh, yeah, we got the series in the bag. We're like the biggest, we're the prohibitive favorite. We're going to easily run through the Nuggets, and then they would get punched in the mouth like they did against Portland and Houston the first games of those series, but they did it to their credit. They came out very aggressive. LeBron was aggressive. AD was aggressive. All the bench players were aggressive. They were aggressive on defense, aggressive on offense. But then in tonight's game, they were up 16, and I felt like they fell asleep behind the wheel. They started playing really sloppy, turning the ball over a lot. They started, just being very overly passive in this game. And I believe the Lakers need to correct that because, we're up 2-0 on the Nuggets right now. But let's not forget, this Nuggets team, they don't quit. They are like the San Diego Padres. They don't quit no matter if they're down big, if they're, on the brink of elimination. They just don't quit. The Lakers need to keep their foot on the gas pedal at all times. They cannot fall asleep behind the wheel, because if they do, this Nuggets team is going to sneak back into the series. We cannot let that happen. We need an easy series so we can go to the NBA Finals well rested, ready to go. And you cannot also do this in the NBA Finals if we were to get to that point, because Boston and the Miami Heat, if you were to go into the first games lackadaisical, you're going to be down 1-0 or even 2-0 if you fall asleep in the first two games and don't come out aggressive and come out and impose your will. So the Lakers got to fix that if they want to win a championship.
Shareable Steve writes in, the Lakers will win Game 3 and sweep the Nuggets. The Nuggets will succumb to his choke theory, while Miami and Denver have been the comeback teams of the season. And I agree again, folks. So give us your thoughts here on this question we again had put up on screen. Does AD's game-winning 3 at the buzzer solidify his spot in Lakers lore? Again, we're talking Robert Horry versus Sacramento, Jerry West versus the New York Knicks a long time ago. Kobe plenty of times, of course, in his illustrious career. Stephen, though, will say, still think it's Jokic greater than AD. And also, if you put Jokic on the Lakers and they still win the championship, put AD on the Nuggets and they don't beat the Clippers, in his mind, with that at this time. Isaiah wants to respond to Steve. What do you got for us?
Listen, Steven, I love you, man, but I think you should start rooting for the opposing team. I think you should do reverse psychology, because, whenever you root for a team, a bad omen just starts, coming out. You put money on the Niners, and what happened? Niners come out, 7 guys go down. Jimmy Garoppolo's out for the next 3 to 5 weeks. And now my boy Nick Mullins has to come in and save the day for the San Francisco 49ers. And the Lakers, man, you started watching this game, and all of a sudden the 16-point lead shrunk, and the Nuggets even took the lead. So, my guy, I love you, but I really think you should honestly do reverse psychology and start rooting for the opposing team. That would help the team that you actually want to win their game.
Like I said, I try not to watch, because if I watch, for example, I have not watched a Laker game in full. I've come in in the fourth quarter when they've been up, because I feel like I jinx it when I watch, and I definitely agree with that aspect. And Steven says, not just yet, or not yet until they win a championship, Callan. And also, I didn't put any money on the Niners, Isaiah. I said that not only will they go 9-7 this year, they will win the Super Bowl next season. Holy Toledo. Okay, so we have
Steven, you didn't put on any money on the Niners. Fair. But yesterday in our phone call, I don't know if you were trying to troll me or not, but you said, go Niners. So, and then what happened? Everybody started.
Vikings got clobbered by the Colts today. But again, folks, the Lakers winning 105-103. But again, Isaiah, I'm more so, man, I still think about that possession before the game winner, because, if that rebound is gotten by Denver, the Lakers foul, they're going to be down at least 3. But then again, though, man, I will say, though, Denver killed themselves shooting the free throws tonight. They were not clutch at the line late in this game. And I think, though, Isaiah, it just kind of shows you, though, that the great teams take advantage of those. The good teams and bad teams don't. But also, man, I will say, though, I'm not going to count Denver out yet, Isaiah. But I think, man, you can definitely see, though, that the toll of playing back-to-back 7-game series and having to come back from being down 3-1 might be, in my mind, taking its toll right now at this time for Denver. Do you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree with it. The Nuggets shot themselves in the foot. If they had made all their free throws, they would have won by at least 9 points in this game. I was just really surprised when I was watching it that they just kept clanking free throws. It was just what are you doing, man? If you knock these free throws down, you win the ball game. That's why the Nuggets, to me, I don't think they're a championship team. They are a team that, gets to the Western Conference Finals, or not Western Conference Finals, but they get deep into the playoffs, but they always lose and they're a young team too. So they make these like just bad mistakes that veteran championship teams don't make, like the Lakers are. And the Lakers took advantage, which they needed to do, and they did. And, I just think about the Nuggets, this is a very deflating loss for them. I do, in fact, believe that Stevens' choke theory is going to come into effect in Game 3 because they know they blew it. They know that they should have won this game by at least 9 points if they had made their free throws, if they hadn't gone sloppy with the ball in the final couple minutes of that game, and also if they had rebounded that rebound when Alex Caruso missed the 3. So this was a very deflating loss for them. It's a gut-wrenching loss, and I really don't see them bouncing back from this defeat.
Definitely agree, and especially for a young team, Isaiah, that loss can, live up here for longer than one day, and things like that. But again, folks, the Lakers win 105-103. Anthony Davis, the hero, a game-winning 3 with the Lakers trailing with 2.1 seconds left in regulation time. That game-winning 3 gives the Lakers a 2-0 advantage over Denver going into Game 3 coming up on Tuesday. And Steven wanted to chime back into Isaiah. Go Niners, Skull Vikings. Skull meaning still keep on losing.
Okay.
And also, let's see here real quick. Steven also says that Eric Fan said he would rather lose close than lose by 15 plus as well. So that is also some logic as well. Isaiah, I did want to get to one more story, man. It's again, as we had talked about on Saturday in regards to the Celtics winning Game 3 over the Miami Heat to go to get within a game now of tying that series. Isaiah, the Celtics rumored after the game to be heard this time around saying proud of their effort in Game 3. Again, this is all in wake of that Game 2 somewhat closed door meeting, shouting match with Marcus Smart kind of going off on teammates. And again, Isaiah, I said, man, that in my time playing sports, that sometimes when times get rough, you have to sometimes kind of tell it how it is and kind of hold your teammates accountable. Coaches hold guys accountable, but sometimes teammates hold each other accountable. And sometimes, man, those can be make or break moments for a ball club where maybe it doesn't go right and it probably, blows up in their face. It causes rift, and it probably sometimes has teammates picking sides. I'm on his side or his side. But it looks like, though, Isaiah, at least for one game, the blow-up has worked so far for the Celtics. Isaiah, if the Celtics tie the series on Monday, and like I think we had talked about on Saturday, if the Celtics tie the series, go ahead or win the series, will a lot of this, will we all look back and think back to this as being the turning point of the Celtics postseason with this blow-up after Game 2, and now with them winning Game 3, now looking to win Game 4 and tie up this Eastern Conference Finals?
Oh, yeah, for sure. That moment woke them up. The Boston Celtics, I felt like in those 2 games, they were playing like they were just playing like they weren't playing focused. They had a lack of focus. They were up in that game, and then they would just fall asleep in the second half. And then when they would wake up, they would be like, oh my God, we lost to the Miami Heat. And then they were up down 2-0. So I think that meeting was a wake-up call. It was a call to them that, hey, we can't take this team lightly. We got to play all out, full aggression in order to win this team, because this team is like the Denver Nuggets. No matter how big the opponent's lead is, no matter how big the series deficit is, they don't care. They're going to keep grinding. They're going to keep fighting. They're going to keep scrapping. They're going to, keep clawing back into games and series and never quitting. So this Miami Heat team, they're just full of no quit. So it's really good. And I just think the Boston Celtics just realized, we got to be better at closing games out, which they did on Saturday night.
So again, folks, Lakers up 2-0, Celtics down 2-1 as we go into the next rounds and next days of the NBA postseason. With that, folks, we'll begin to wind down for the night with tonight's final thoughts. It is final thoughts time here, folks, as we wrap up our 3rd episode of the Night Shift. And again, folks, want to again sincerely and humbly say thank you to all of our viewers out there. We've had a very good influx of viewership all night. topping out so far at about 12 live viewers. So again, we thank you all very much for your support of the MI6 Sports Network. Again, we'll do it all over again starting tomorrow on Monday. But Isaiah, final thoughts for tonight's show, and for that matter, another great day of sports on this Sunday.
Yeah, it was a tremendous day of sports. It was a tremendous show. Thank you to all the viewers out there who watched this great show. Thank you guys for tuning in, and also thank you guys for all your support in the MI6 Sports Network as well. My final thought is it's going to be something controversial, but I'm going to say it anyways. I think that the 49ers, you never want to see injuries, but I think the Jimmy Garoppolo injury could be a blessing in disguise for the San Francisco 49ers, because a lot of people, and me included, we've been saying that Nick Mullins is a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. He has better pocket awareness. He might not have the greatest arm strength in the world, but he gets the ball out really quick. And, he just has really good IQ. I think Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the Niners, said that he likened Nick Mullins to another coach on the field. So I think that this could be a blessing in disguise. He's got 3 games to prove that he's starting quarterback worthy. I think if he can do it, I think Jimmy Garoppolo might have just lost his job as the Niners starting quarterback.
And as I said earlier, it would not be the first time we've seen a quarterback controversy of some type in San Francisco in the past 5 to 7 years. Real quick, Steven is back. Celtics in 7 is his thoughts, and James agrees. Hopefully that Heat Celtics series goes to a Game 7. And Steven's final thought, Jared Cook puts up 31 points, and Isaiah will lose in fantasy football again. With that in mind, folks, my final thoughts, of course, reverberate back to my hometown, San Diego Padres. 14 years of waiting, suffering, crying, laughing comically, you name it, folks, about the Padres. They are back where they probably should be for just the 6th time in club history. The Padres are in the postseason. And again, folks, I know that we cannot be at games. We cannot be at the ballpark to celebrate with, 42,000 of our closest friends here in San Diego, for that matter, at any ballpark. But folks, the outpouring of Padre fans I've seen on the web today when the game was final, the text messages I've been getting from friends of mine, we've been, we group text during every game. We're hanging on every pitch. And again, it's been 14 years of, blood, sweat, tears, and a lot of tears mainly, and a lot of frustration. But the Padres, again, playoff bound, first time in 14 years. It's awesome. And again, I know it's only a 60-game season, 162. It's not all that. But again, folks, just like I said, though, earlier, Isaiah, and for that matter, anyone out there, but the amount of city pride that has been found here in San Diego since the season began. And I had said it maybe not on air, but I wrote in one of my earlier season Padre recaps, and I've been not able to do them lately, but just been missing a lot of games by virtue of, again, some things going on at the house or helping out some friends that needed some help moving into their new house, is that when I had gone to watch the Padres at summer camp about 2 weeks before the season started, there was a genuine different vibe around Petco Park. And again, we were just there to watch the Padres take batting practice. Me and 2 of my close friends, Matt Lehman, Jeremy Condra, if you guys are watching. Of course, much love to you fellas out there. But that there was a genuine vibe, a genuine different feel in the air when the Padres were having their summer camp, playing their exhibition games with the LA Angels and stuff like that. And from the get-go, this club has played .600 baseball all season. They had one big, downfall with that 5-game losing streak. But again, it was the 3-0 grand slam that really, of course, has, for one, made us into a national brand via BreakingT.com with these shirts, for one thing, but also, again, has given San Diego a reason to cheer for sports again in regards to the Padres being that main Big Four program, that main sports event in town, with them being in Major League Baseball again. No NFL here, no NBA, no NHL, no Major League Soccer yet, with that hopefully coming here soon. But that there's been a giant, what I feel like is a giant revitalization of hometown pride here in San Diego. That's been missing for a very long time, at least on the main tier of sports. Again, that's not a knock on any other organization here, but there has certainly been a rejuvenated fan base here in San Diego. Like Isaiah had said, though, in regards to comparing the Bay Area to San Diego, when the Niners had their 8-0 start, and you're seeing people wearing Niners jerseys around San Francisco, I have now seen more people wearing Padre shirts, Padre jerseys, Padre hats of all the different colors, brown and yellow, blue and orange, blue and white, orange and brown, you name it. There's just more, I feel like more city pride. And kind of like in a way, San Diego's walking with their chest kind of puffed out for the first time in a long time for major league sports in regards to the NFL or Major League Baseball. So I think more so, of course, the Padres win. The Padres are going to the playoffs, but more so, it's finally good to see a city like San Diego rewarded for the years of sticking by the franchise and going through the ups and downs, and mainly the downs of the last 14 years of, not being able to get over the hump and always, in a way, falling short against the Dodgers or, losing like they did in 2010 to the Giants in the final week of the season. So definitely, I think that there is for sure, it's a refreshing time in San Diego. And, I think it's more so great for the locals who have been born and raised in San Diego, like myself, who've been waiting to kind of see that, see San Diego get that national attention and that national respect that's been missing for the past 14, 15, 20, 22 years since they went to the World Series. Real quick, want to get some love out here real quick from Casey King. Guys, great show. Definitely tuning in next week. That sounds awesome, man. Thank you. And also, Christy, awesome show as well. Steven says the Clippers and Falcons should move to San Diego. They both need a change of scenery, but I don't know about that. We'll see how that works. Isaiah did want to add one more point here. Isaiah, Isaiah, go for it, bud. What do you got for us?
Yeah, speaking of San Diego, I'm going to be down in San Diego and the Riverside area next week. I can't wait to get myself a Slam Diego shirt and hop on this Padres bandwagon, man. Callan, you've been talking you've been hyping them up so much in all of our episodes and all of our shows. And man, I feel compelled to have to jump on this bandwagon and just support this, small market team, because hey, us small market teams, I'm an A's fan, you're a Padres fan, we got to stick together, man.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and get them while they're hot, man. BreakingT.com, and I believe the team store actually has a very good selection, so let me know, and we'll probably go and hang downtown when that does, in fact, roll about. But again, folks, we are well past our time here. I want to, of course, thank my man Isaiah Leung for hanging out and for being the night owl that he is here on the night shift. And again, folks, as mentioned, namaste. Thank you all very much for, again, tuning in tonight. Again, it really does mean the world that we have so many people tuning in at nearly almost midnight on the West Coast to watch this program. Again, this was an idea that I had kind of come up with maybe about 1 or 2 weeks ago, I'd say. And I was thinking, who's going to be up to watch a program at 10 o'clock at night on the West Coast? And the viewership, the comments, all the people that have been staying up. So again, Steve, of course, Casey, Christy, David, and David, man, oh man, the list goes on and on and on. We thank you all again dearly. James as well again, but we thank everyone here again who's been tuning in and for again joining us here. Now again, folks, as we said, we've had a bit of a new schedule. So again, folks, we'll throw this up on screen for you folks here. But again, folks, to tune in here, here's where we're at. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is where, folks, you can find us. And again, you can find the 6 on your favorite social platform. And again, folks, subscribe to our podcast channel. But again, folks, WST is back on air every Monday and Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. This program is on every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday at 10 p.m. And then, of course, folks, Ryan Schreiner and Stephen Wang will host Fan Response at 5 p.m. on Thursdays. And, of course, Trevor, Isaiah, myself, and Furman at 6:30 p.m. every Friday for No BS on the MI6 Sports Network. So again, folks, that is where you can, in fact, watch us. And again, you can also watch us on Facebook, live on YouTube, and also as well, you can get us too on your Apple or on your podcast app as well. And Steven did write in real quick, we need some merch. Depends on how, in fact, things go. If we, in fact, get that going, and Christy is definitely going to be first in line. She says, absolutely. Well, you know what, Isaiah? We'll cut out here and we'll work on that, actually, for the great viewers out there. Maybe we'll get some MI6 t-shirts. It'll look just as cool as this Slam Diego shirt. Who knows? But again, folks, as mentioned, we're well out of time. But again, once more, folks,
MI6 jerseys.
I would totally rock it for sure if it's just like this behind me. But again, folks, we again sincerely thank you all for tuning in and for joining us. And again, folks, we are kicking off a brand new week of coverage tomorrow on the MI6 Sports Network. And Steven has a quick poll here: coffee mugs or t-shirts? Isaiah will take both for 200.
Yes, sir.
But again, folks, we're out of time here. We'll work on the merchandise a bit later as we roll on here. But again, folks, a brand new week of coverage week of coverage kicks off again, folks. Here's our full schedule once more. But again, folks, WST is back on air tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. The Night Shift back on air on Tuesday, 10 p.m. Pacific time. WST again once more on Wednesday. Fan Response on Thursday. No BS on Friday. And again, folks, another 2 episodes in The Night Shift come your way at 10 o'clock Pacific time on Saturday and on Sunday. And again, folks, you can find out more by visiting our Facebook page, our Twitter account, and also, again, you can, again, subscribe to us where you get your podcast from on your podcast app or via anchor.fm as well. With that, folks, for the entire cast and crew here on The Six, and for my co-host Isaiah Leung, this is Callan McClurg saying good night, and thank you all very much for joining us. Have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll see you folks back here on Monday to kick off a brand new week of coverage back here on The Six, starting off with WST, batting leadoff at 7:30 p.m. on Monday. Till next time, folks, so long and bye-bye.